I never saw the knife coming until it was buried in my back. The letter my son found changed everything. My ex-wife Victoria didn't just leave me. She plotted my destruction for months. After convincing me to quit my career to raise our children, she secretly drained our accounts, filed for divorce, and told the court I was unstable and unemployed. I slept on a bare mattress while she lived in luxury with my children every other week. The courts believed her, the successful businesswoman, over me, the jobless father who couldn't afford a lawyer. But when my 9-year-old son handed me that crumpled letter he found hidden in her desk, the truth was finally exposed. Her own words detailed her plan to financially cripple me and ensure he loses the children. Now I had evidence of her betrayal, and I would use it to take back everything she stole. My children deserved justice, and Victoria deserved to lose it all, just like she planned for me. My daughter stands frozen on stage, eyes darting between two sides of the auditorium. On one side sits Victoria in designer clothes, surrounded by school board members and parent volunteers. On the other side, I sit alone in my only clean shirt, the one I save for court appearances and parent meetings. I didn't know it then, but this moment captured everything about our new reality. As the play ends, Victoria intercepts me in the lobby. She hands me an envelope with manicured fingers. "Court summons," she says with a practiced smile. "Full custody hearing next month." She leans closer. Her voice drops to a whisper only I can hear. "You'll never see them again." I drive back to my apartment in silence. 3 years ago, I had a career in finance, a 4-bedroom house in the suburbs, what I thought was a happy marriage. Then Victoria suggested I stay home with the kids while she built her consulting business. "Just temporarily," she said. I agreed. Family first. Looking back, I should have seen the cold calculation in her eyes when she suggested it. 6 months later, I woke to find divorce papers on the kitchen table. By afternoon, our joint accounts were drained. By the end of the week, her lawyer convinced a judge I was unstable, unemployed, and unfit for primary custody. Now I clean office buildings at night, sleep on a mattress on the floor, save every penny for my children's rooms and legal fees. Each court appearance leaves me more defeated as Victoria presents fabricated evidence of my instability while I struggle to speak the truth. I remember our first mortgage together, how Victoria insisted on reading every line of the contract. While I trusted her judgment, she was always methodical, always 3 steps ahead. After the 4th hearing, the judge further reduces my visitation rights. I watch my son Ethan's face crumple as Victoria explains they won't be staying with me next weekend as planned. "I'm sorry," I tell him, kneeling to eye level. "I'm trying." The words feel hollow in my throat. I am trying. But Victoria holds all the cards. That weekend, Victoria unexpectedly drops the kids off for an hour. "Emergency work call," she says, hardly looking at me. As they settle in, Ethan quietly approaches. He looks over his shoulder to ensure his sister is distracted with her toys. "Dad," he whispers. His small hand trembles as he pulls a crumpled paper from his pocket. "I found this in Mom's desk. Is this why you're always sad?" I thought I knew what it felt like to have your heart stop. I was wrong. The letter is addressed to Victoria's friend Stephanie. It's dated 3 months before she filed for divorce. "I've been planning this for months. First, I'll move our assets to my private accounts, then file for divorce. His career sacrifice gives me the perfect narrative. Unemployed, financially, irresponsible, emotionally unstable. By the time I'm done, he'll have nothing left to fight with. The children are my ticket to maximum support payments, and I'll make sure he hardly sees them." My hands shake as I read it twice. 3 times, every word burning into my brain like acid. I always knew Victoria was calculating. But this was surgical, premeditated. I want to scream, to call my lawyer, to rush to court with this proof of her betrayal. But as Victoria's car pulls up outside, I force myself to think clearly, for the first time in years. I look at my son watching me with worried eyes. "It's going to be okay," I tell him. I make a quick copy of the letter with my phone. Put this back exactly where you found it. It's important. Will it help us, he asks. Yes, I say, feeling something shift inside me, something cold and precise, something like the person Victoria had tried to make me forget I was. It's going to help us. As Victoria collects the children, I watch her with new eyes. The designer watch, the practiced smile, the way she speaks about me to our children as if I'm a charity case. I didn't realize until that moment how completely I'd bought into her narrative, how I'd started to believe maybe I was the failure she painted me as. That night after my cleaning shift, I don't sleep. Instead, I study the letter again. The careful wording, the methodical planning. This wasn't just a divorce. It was an annihilation. Victoria didn't just want freedom, she wanted me destroyed. I sit in the dark of my bare apartment and make a decision. Victoria had spent months planning my downfall. I would spend however long it took planning hers. I think about my kids, about that letter, about all the nights I'd cried myself to sleep wondering what I'd done wrong. Nothing. I had done nothing wrong except trust the wrong person. For the first time in months, I feel something other than despair, something sharp and clear and focused. Victoria wanted a war, fine, but she'd made one critical mistake. She taught me exactly who she really was, and now I would show her exactly who I really am. I want to rush to court with the letter, but Victoria's car pulls up outside. I understand. This requires precision. I make a copy, return the original to Ethan and tell him to put it back exactly where he found it. It's important, I say. And it's going to help us. That night, after my cleaning shift, I don't sleep. Instead, I create a meticulous plan. Victoria didn't just want a divorce. She orchestrated my destruction. The letter proves it was calculated, but I need more. I never thought I'd use my finance background again. Now it might save me. I accept a day job from a former client who recognizes my work ethic, finally earning a stable income. I enroll in online bookkeeping courses, not just for employment, but because I need to understand financial forensics. I begin documenting every interaction with Victoria, recording every exchange, and researching her company's public records. At the next visitation exchange, Victoria notices something different. New job? She asks, eyeing my slightly improved clothes. Something like that, I reply, maintaining a calm I've never shown before. Her smile falters. This wasn't in her script. Looking back, I can pinpoint this moment as the first time I saw fear in her eyes. I spend weeknights analyzing Victoria's business after the children are asleep. 3 months of investigation reveals a pattern in her consulting firm's finances. Large sums moving through shell companies, irregularities in reported income. Her perfect image begins showing cracks as I match transactions with dates from our marriage. The embezzlement began long before our divorce. I always believed Victoria left me for another man. The financial records tell a different story. She left me for money. My sacrifice gave her the perfect cover to build her fraudulent empire. When I discover her new husband works at the courthouse as an administrator with access to case assignments, I understand why the judge has been so biased. Rather than confront this corruption directly, I document it, building my case methodically. Victoria senses the shift in power. At our next court date, she arrives with a surprise emergency petition, claiming I grabbed her arm during our last exchange. The judge immediately grants a temporary restraining order. I'm barred from seeing my children for 2 weeks pending investigation. I thought I knew what rock bottom felt like. I was wrong. But instead of breaking me, this finally connects me with a pro bono lawyer from a father's rights organization, who witnesses the obvious bias in court. They didn't expect you to fight this long, she tells me. Most men would have given up. I'm not most men, I reply, and she made a crucial mistake. What's that? She taught me exactly who she is. My lawyer arranges a meeting with a forensic accountant who reviews my gathered evidence. This goes beyond divorce manipulation, he says. There's systematic fraud here. She's been laundering money through children's charity events. I recognize the charity. Victoria chairs its annual fundraiser. The judge's wife sits on the board. I never thought I'd use my financial knowledge to destroy someone, but Victoria left me no choice. When a detective friend of my lawyer reviews the evidence, he shakes his head. This is prosecutable, but we need more. She's connected, and they'll close ranks. The breakthrough comes unexpectedly. While cleaning Victoria's office building, I encounter her assistant working late. I've seen her at court hearings, standing behind Victoria with files. Tonight, her eyes are red from crying. She threatened to ruin me, the assistant says after I identify myself. I know things she's done, but I'm afraid. Fear of Victoria. I understand that better than anyone. Over the next month, I build trust with her. Eventually, she provides access to encrypted files containing evidence of Victoria's larger schemes. The files reveal Victoria has been using the charity as a front, siphoning donations while cultivating relationships with judges and officials. I thought I married a businesswoman. In reality, I married a criminal. As I compile evidence, Victoria somehow senses the walls closing in. My apartment is broken into while I'm at work. My computer is destroyed, but they miss the backup drives, hidden in my children's toy cars. That night, my phone rings. It's Ethan calling secretly from his bathroom. "Dad, Mom is acting scary," he whispers. "She's shredding papers and yelling at people on the phone. She says you're trying to hurt us." "I would never hurt you," I tell him, heart racing. "I'm trying to make things right." "I know," he says. "I heard her say she's going to make sure you go away forever." I must accelerate my plan. My children's emotional safety is at stake now. I never wanted this fight. Victoria forced it upon me, and now I will finish it. I think about that letter, about Victoria's master plan to destroy me, about how she never anticipated I would fight back with the very skills she made me abandon. She created her perfect enemy, and now she'll face him. I secure copies of all evidence with my lawyer, the forensic accountant, and in a safe deposit box. I'm now employed as a junior bookkeeper at a legitimate firm, giving me access to financial databases that help me trace Victoria's hidden transactions back 5 years. I never thought I'd be grateful for those long nights studying financial records. Now they're my weapon. I've built a network of allies. Parents from school who've witnessed Victoria's manipulative behavior. Former employees she's threatened. Even a court clerk disturbed by the husband's influence on my case. The morning of our final custody hearing, I dress in a new suit purchased with honestly earned money. Victoria's smile freezes when she sees me. I'm not the broken man she expected. The judge begins with clear bias. I understand there are new allegations to address before we finalize custody. Yes, Your Honor, my lawyer interrupts. We have evidence of extensive fraud, witness tampering, and deliberate defamation against my client. Victoria laughs softly. Desperate tactics from a desperate man. I thought I knew hatred before, but watching her laugh at me in court ignites something colder, more focused. My lawyer presents the original letter first. The courtroom falls silent as the judge reads it. Victoria recovers quickly. That's obviously fabricated. Anyone could have written that. The document has been authenticated by a forensic handwriting expert, my lawyer counters. But more importantly, we have evidence that Mrs. Harrington has engaged in systematic financial fraud. As my lawyer methodically presents evidence of Victoria's financial crimes, witness tampering, and child manipulation, her husband attempts to slip out of the courtroom. 2 plainclothes officers block his exit. The color drains from Victoria's face as she realizes this isn't just about custody anymore. When the prosecutor steps forward and introduces himself, she finally understands the depth of my preparation. I meet her eyes across the courtroom and calmly repeat her own words from the letter. By the time I'm done, you'll have nothing left to fight with. Looking back, I'll always remember how her perfect mask finally cracked. Victoria attempts to flee but is stopped by court officers. The judge, now ashen-faced upon learning his wife's unwitting involvement in the charity scheme, recuses himself immediately. As Victoria is taken into custody for questioning, she locks eyes with me one last time. "Let's make a deal," she hisses. I'll drop the custody case, split everything 50-50. Don't do this. 3 years ago, I would have agreed to any terms to maintain peace. Back when I thought Victoria was capable of compromise. Back when I still believed in the woman I married. I know better now. You wanted to take everything from me, I say, quietly. Now you'll lose everything because of me. I never imagined I'd enjoy watching someone's world collapse, but as Victoria is led away, I feel only cold satisfaction. The criminal investigation becomes headline news. Victoria's consulting firm collapses as clients distance themselves. The charity board members, including the judge's wife, publicly condemn her. Her husband faces disciplinary proceedings for case interference. At the emergency custody hearing with a new judge, I'm granted full custody. Victoria, released on bail pending multiple trials, is permitted only supervised visitation. I used to wonder what I did to deserve Victoria's betrayal. Now I know I did nothing wrong except trust the wrong person. 6 months later, I take the children to our new home. Modest but comfortable, purchased with my legitimate salary and a loan my improved credit now qualifies for. Ethan and Emma run inside to explore their new rooms while I carry in the last boxes. Emma returns to the doorway, hesitating. Dad, are we ever going to visit Mom? She can visit you here under supervision, I answer. Honestly. The court requires that. Ethan appears behind her. Do you hate her, Dad? For what she did? I consider my answer carefully, knowing it shapes how they process everything that's happened. I don't hate her anymore, I finally say. She gave me you, and she taught me how strong I really am. The children seem satisfied with this answer and run inside to continue unpacking. I stand alone on the porch watching as the sun sets over our new beginning. I never thought I'd find peace after such betrayal. Yet here it is, wrapped in justice. As I turn to enter our home, I notice a car parked across the street. Victoria sits behind the wheel watching. Our eyes meet briefly before she drives away, but not before I see the expression on her face. The look of someone who finally understands they created their own destruction. Inside my wallet, folded and worn from frequent handling, is the final page of her letter. A reminder not of trauma, but of my unbreakable resolve. Some might call it vindictive. I call it justice. The children's laughter echoes from inside the house. I close the door on the past and step fully into our future. Victoria attempts to flee, but is stopped by court officers. The judge, now ashen, faced upon learning his wife's unwitting involvement in the charity scheme, recuses himself immediately. I never thought I'd witness Victoria cornered. She always had an escape plan. Not today. As Victoria is taken into custody for questioning, she locks eyes with me one last time. Let's make a deal, she hisses. I'll drop the custody case, split everything 50-50. Don't do this. 3 years ago, I would have accepted any terms to maintain peace. Now, her desperation feels like validation. You wanted to take everything from me, I say quietly. Now you'll lose everything because of me. The criminal investigation becomes headline news within days. Victoria's consulting firm collapses as clients distance themselves. The charity board members, including the judge's wife, publicly condemn her. Her husband faces disciplinary proceedings for case interference. I spent years believing I was the failure. Now everyone knows the truth. At the emergency custody hearing with a new judge, I'm granted full custody. Victoria, released on bail pending multiple trials, is permitted only supervised visitation. 6 months later, I take the children to our new home. Modest but comfortable, purchased with my legitimate salary and a loan my improved credit now qualifies for. Ethan and Emma run inside to explore their new rooms while I carry in the last boxes. Emma returns to the doorway, hesitating. Dad, are we ever going to visit Mom? She can visit you here, under supervision, I answer honestly. The court requires that. Ethan appears behind her. Do you hate her, Dad? For what she did? I consider my answer carefully, knowing it shapes how they process everything that's happened. I don't hate her anymore, I finally say. She gave me you, and she taught me how strong I really am. I never imagined finding wisdom in betrayal. But here, it is. The children seem satisfied with this answer and run inside to continue unpacking. I stand alone on the porch watching as the sun sets over our new beginning. As I turn to enter our home, I notice a car parked across the street. Victoria sits behind the wheel, watching. Our eyes meet briefly before she drives away, but not before I see the expression on her face. The look of someone who finally understands they created their own destruction. Inside my wallet, folded and worn from frequent handling, is the final page of her letter. A reminder not of trauma, but of my unbreakable resolve. Some might call it vindictive. I call it justice. The children's laughter echoes from inside the house. I close the door on the past and step fully into our future. I never expected to find peace after such betrayal, yet here it is, wrapped in justice. Each morning now I wake up to children's voices instead of silence, to purpose instead of despair, to a future Victoria tried to steal from me. At work, I'm respected for my financial acumen. The skills Victoria convinced me to abandon have become my strength. 3 promotions in 6 months. My boss mentions partnership potential. I thought Victoria had taken everything. Instead, she forced me to rebuild something stronger. The criminal proceedings against Victoria continue. Her assets frozen, her reputation destroyed. She calls sometimes, begging to speak with the children outside supervised visits. I refuse politely, citing court orders. I used to fear her manipulations. Now I recognize them instantly. 1 year after finding the letter, I receive a call from Victoria's lawyer. She's agreed to a plea deal on multiple fraud charges, 5 years minimum sentence, full restitution to all victims, including me. She's asking for a private meeting before sentencing, her lawyer says, to apologize. I decline. Her words mean nothing anymore. Only her actions ever mattered. The day of her sentencing, I attend alone. Not for closure, for verification. I watch as Victoria enters the courtroom. Designer clothes replaced by muted business attire, makeup subdued, playing the role of the repentant fraudster. I never realized how calculated her every appearance was until now. She spots me in the gallery. For a moment, her mask slips. Raw hatred flashes across her face before she composes herself. The judge delivers the sentence, 7 years. No possibility of early parole due to the calculated nature of the crimes and lack of genuine remorse. Victoria stands stone-faced as officers approach with handcuffs. As they lead her away, she turns to look at me one final time. I feel nothing. No triumph, no satisfaction, only calm certainty that justice has been served. Outside the courthouse, reporters thrust microphones toward me. Ask how it feels to be vindicated, whether I plan to write a book about the experience. I just want to go home to my children, I tell them. That's all that matters now. That night I help Ethan with math homework, listen to Emma practice piano, cook dinner in a kitchen that feels like home. Nothing fancy, just peaceful. I never imagined this outcome when I held that crumpled letter. Never dreamed I could rebuild so completely from Victoria's systematic destruction. Later, after the children are asleep, I sit on the porch with a cup of coffee. I remember Victoria's words in that letter. Her meticulous plan to leave me with nothing. Now she sits in a prison cell while I watch fireflies with our children. Some might call it karma. I call it consequence. The letter that was meant to destroy me became my salvation instead. Not because it proved her guilt, but because it showed me who I needed to become to protect what mattered most. Victoria thought she knew me completely. She was wrong. That was her fatal mistake. 3 years after the letter that changed everything, I sit across from Victoria in a prison visitation room. Her orange jumpsuit, a stark contrast to the designer clothes she once wore. The polished mask she always maintained, now cracked and faded. I never imagined this moment during those early days of desperation. Life has a way of coming full circle. "Thank you for coming," she says, voice lacking its former confidence. "The children never visit." "They're not comfortable," I reply simply. "They made that choice themselves." Victoria's eyes harden momentarily before she composes herself. Even now, she calculates every reaction. I've had a lot of time to think, she says, about what I did to you, to us. I say nothing. Just wait. I learned patience the hard way. I was wrong, she continues. The money, the status, none of it meant anything in the end. I still remember sleeping on that bare mattress, working triple shifts to afford food for my children's visits, the shame in their eyes when I couldn't afford new clothes for school. Why did you ask me here, Victoria? She leans forward. I'm being released early. Good behavior. I've paid my restitution. I want to make amends. To you. To the children. I feel nothing at her announcement. No anger, no vindication, just calm certainty. The courts will determine your visitation rights, I say evenly. That's not my decision. Her smile falters. I've changed. You have to believe that. I never thought I'd sit across from Victoria and feel only pity. Maybe you have, I reply, but that's between you and yourself. As I stand to leave, Victoria grabs my wrist. Wait, there's something else. Her voice drops. I still have connections. I could help you, financially, for the children. I gently remove her hand. We don't need your help. I'm a senior partner at my firm now. The children attend private school. We have everything we need. The flash of shock in her eyes is brief but unmistakable. She truly believed I still needed her, that I would always need her. Goodbye, Victoria, I say, walking toward the door. Good luck with your new life. Outside in the parking lot, I breathe deeply. Victoria will be released next month. This chapter isn't fully closed yet. I drive to my office. The corner suite with my name on the door still feels surreal sometimes. From cleaning these floors at night to running the financial division, life takes unexpected turns. Looking back, Victoria's betrayal was the catalyst I never knew I needed. That evening, I help Ethan with college applications. He's 17, now brilliant and thoughtful. Emma practices for her piano recital in the living room, ordinary moments that once seemed impossible. The doorbell rings. A courier delivers an envelope marked confidential. Inside, photos of Victoria meeting with known criminals during prison visiting hours. A note from my former detective contact explains these were taken during an ongoing investigation. I never asked for this information, but I'm not surprised it found me. The photos confirm what I suspected. Victoria hasn't changed. She's simply adapted her strategy. I call my lawyer. She agrees to file for a modification of Victoria's post-release restrictions based on this new evidence. No contact with the children until a full investigation is completed. I didn't create this situation. Victoria did. Again. The next day, local news reports Victoria's release has been suspended pending new criminal charges. Her former connections apparently weren't as loyal as she believed. Ethan asks if it's true. If his mother is staying in prison. Yes, I tell him honestly, she made more poor choices. Are you glad? He asks, watching me carefully. I consider my answer. No. I'm sad for her. But I'm relieved for us. I never wanted to be right about Victoria, but I couldn't afford to be wrong. That night, I find Emma looking at old family photos. Pictures from before everything fell apart, when we looked like a perfect family. Was Mom always bad? She asks quietly. No, I answer truthfully. She made choices, bad ones, then more to cover those up, until she couldn't find her way back. Emma nods thoughtfully. I'm glad you didn't do that, even when things were really hard. I never knew my children saw so clearly. Even back then. The final hearing regarding Victoria's new charges happens on a Tuesday. I don't attend. Instead, I take the day off to help Emma prepare for a science competition. Real priorities. My lawyer calls that evening. Victoria received an additional 3 years for conspiracy charges. All contact with our children suspended indefinitely. I thank her and hang up. There's no satisfaction in this news, just the quiet relief of knowing my children remain protected. That night, I sit on our porch watching fireflies with Ethan and Emma. They talk about futures bright with possibility, college plans, travel dreams, lives untainted by their mother's shadow. I think about that crumpled letter that changed everything. How Victoria's attempt to destroy me ultimately destroyed her instead. I never set out for revenge, just justice, protection, a future for my children. Yet here we are, Victoria in prison, her reputation and freedom gone, while I sit with our children, watching fireflies dance in the summer air. The greatest revenge wasn't taking Victoria down. It was building a life so complete that her absence became irrelevant. That's the lesson she never understood. True power isn't in destruction. It's in creation, in resilience, in love. And that's something Victoria could never take away.